Are we taking out the powerlifting bit now, eh?
Yeah, no, we're just New Zealand's favourite podcast. I bet
Exactly
there's no one that people like more than us.
No one's doing that podcast in New Zealand anyway.
No, we're basically the news.
Maybe a few hundred people, but who cares?
Yeah. No, we were just talking about placings versus records.
Oh, contentious topic, eh?
Yeah, about how Will's got the under 110 record, but he doesn't really give a shit.
Yeah, the one. Yeah, okay.
He wants to beat the best, which is a bit hard at the moment, obviously. With
Yeah, it's not that I don't think they shouldn't exist. Somebody needs to keep records, but
yeah,
they're just hard to compare. That is what I found. Is different rules,
different meets, all that sort of stuff.
Lots of different shit, like different equipment just goes on, and then on open powerlifting, you just have one big list. And it doesn't really do it justice once you've been around a while and seen the differences.
Yeah, because where are you now? Well, 25, 25th.
Am I? 110.
In the 110s. Yeah. So you got Yuri at number 1.
Just nearly got him. Just I'm on his tail, but yeah.
Yeah, right on him. A year or two, you'll be right.
Yeah, he's just got him.
Fuck, you're not that far away, man. Honestly, 98 kilos. I mean, is it? What's 98 kilos, eh? That's just a good deadlift.
That's easy. I can pick up 98 kilos easy. So
yeah, so can't be that hard to add.
And then Derek just behind him. Derek
Thistleweight. He's a freak, bro. He's only just starting. I can't wait to see.
He's only 20.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what he ends up with, man. He trained powerlifting for like 8 months or some shit before that total. Like, that's cooked.
Yeah, I mean, he's clearly been training a lot longer. I mean, look at the size of him.
He's fucking jacked.
He's not new to the game. But
the
thing is, him and Yuri aren't that far. They're still good. There's a decent gap, but they're not that far enough. Even if I think Derek got close, you can't help but like, how far long's it been since Yuri competed? Like it feels like he's just waiting. You know, he's just sitting there like, can somebody please fucking catch up to me so I can destroy you? Like, please.
Yeah. So I actually have to try.
Yeah. What do you reckon it does to you? What do you reckon it does to you psychologically, knowing you're the best? You start to get you start to rest a bit. Do you start to get a little bit complacent?
It's tough. Yeah. Like I know that, I believe Sebastian is close to calling it on his powerlifting, seriously anyway. And so like I was going through a point like a few months ago going like, shit, like what do I do? But then, Mitch has really stepped up his game, which is fucking awesome. So it's going to be fun to hit him up. And I think you got a couple of boys over there that are doing pretty well as well. But as long as they still are in lockdown, I haven't really looked, but yeah.
Fuck, who's not in lockdown at the moment?
Yeah, man, it's rough.
You were knocked down at Christchurch? It's nationwide, eh?
Bro, I'm in Palmy now, remember?
Palmy, yeah. No, they haven't locked down. They haven't locked down Palmy, have they?
No, bro, we're our own nation. Fuck it. I saw an article the other day that said about alcohol sales, like just as lockdown hit, and it was like, and in Palmerston North, sales rocketed 750%, number one growth in the country. And I was like, yes, boy, here we go.
Here we go, eh?
I'm in the right place.
You got to have a claim to fame.
Yeah.
So there you go. We're not in lockdown, but we may as well be because every other state is. So we can't really do shit. Like last weekend, we wanted to get away for the weekend and chill out a little because I had a lot of work on. But usually we're right on the New South Wales Queensland border, and usually I would go into northern New South Wales, which is really nice, like Byron and all them places. But instead, since we can't cross the border, I had to go to Brisbane, which is much less favourable.
Not the same, eh? Yeah.
Yeah. So relaxing weekend in Brisbane just doesn't hit quite as well. But we may as well be in lockdown. We may as well just chuck us in there.
So you're still pretty busy with online clients. You're spending most of your time at their desk, right there.
It's definitely taken a hit. Like I feel everybody has a little bit. people obviously aren't as excited about powerlifting, and as much as I like to talk about self-motivation, as in, like, you know, doing your own thing and beating yourself and blah blah blah, like it's a good way to, but there are a lot of people that are obviously motivated by competition and just doing competitions full stop, like having a date, you know what I mean? So clearly, yeah, there's a lot of people out there that are struggling. So it has meant that the coaching is it's still there, but it's just not as exciting as it once was, you know, like prepping everybody and all these results. But we're trying to pivot into the education side of things. We're working on all of our systems behind the scenes, as far as like admin and back end, front end systems and everything like that, so we can be there when everybody gets out and starts to get back to competitions and that, and be doing better than what we were when we went into lockdown. So that's the goal anyway. Like, we started to build momentum really well post, you know, OG COVID, and then now and then Delta's come along and fucking thrown that in the deep end again. So yeah, a bit of a momentum killer, but yeah, I'm confident we'll still be moving forward.
Yeah,
I suppose that's the thing. If you can get those like back end processes and admin, and
there's always
new products to offer, especially when you're self-employed. Like, if you can make yourself more productive in the future, then you're winning.
Yeah, more productive, just writing content, just providing value to people in some way. Yeah. There's always something you can do, and yeah, there's just, it never ends. You would know.
Yeah, it's mad. That's cool though that you keep them busy. I mean, it's one of those things we were talking about yesterday. Like, it is tough with no comps, especially for coaching, because I feel like it's one of those things with coaching that people turn up like 10 weeks out from a meet and they're like, right, I want you to coach me.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, cool. Well, like, I've never seen you lift before. I don't know what your weaknesses are. Like, how am I supposed to coach you? And like, I need coaching for this meet. It's like, you should have come to me like 10 weeks ago or 12 weeks ago or whatever, you know, before the start of the meet prep.
Definitely. Like, I mean, with those sort of people, like, I'm lucky these days. I get a lot more serious people coming to me for the most part, which is nice. But we still get those people, and it's kind of like just explain to you, hey, like, when I program for somebody or look at a macro view of periodization and stuff like that, like, when we first start, I'm basing a lot of my programming off assumptions. Like, I'm basing a lot of my decisions off like what generally works, because I don't really need that. And in powerlifting, you can get away with that a fair bit. You know, there's a lot of coaches out there that just give the same program to everybody, and that's fine. but it works.
Why are you laughing, Jackson? Why are you laughing, mate?
No, remember how I think we talked about it with someone the other week, and I saw this thing come up on Instagram one day on someone's story, and they were basically like saying, I've figured out, it's lucky I figured out a good template, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to do X amount of programs a month. And I was like, you're basically advertising that you give everyone the same program. Sick, bro.
Yeah. But I'm not saying that's terrible, especially in powerlifting, where like, it's literally squat, bench, deadlift, 1 RM. Like, every single comp we go to is going to be that. And there's so much difference person to person that there's going to be. And science has given us enough direction that it's like, okay, like, you know, this much volume on average works. These variations kind of work. This kind of like layout kind of works. You know, it gives us a decent rough guideline that people can get away with that in such a specific sport. But then, as I was saying, as we carry on the coaching relationship, the individualization becomes just tweaks of that. It's like, okay, we're going to do this for a prep. Cool. We're going to look over that. How did you go? How did you feel coming into sessions? Maybe we bump this day up a little bit, pull that day back a bit, and work out how to recover better between days, how to allocate volume, I don't know. There's just like these little tweaks after you've got past that initial stage. So if you keep getting people coming to you 10 weeks out, running through something and then going like, I'll go do my own off season, or, you know, I'll come back later. You just never get anywhere. Like, because you can't really individualize for somebody, like you said. It's just you're following guidelines when
how much is your training? And I know this is probably a stupid question, but how much has your coaching changed over the years? And like, is there anything that you look back on and think, oh fuck it, I wish I hadn't said that, or I wish I'd known what I know now?
A ton, heaps. Like nearly every year. Every year I look at like a program that I wrote a year ago and I'm like, fuck, like, what was that?
Yeah.
It's not that it was terrible. It clearly worked and been doing it long enough that and got enough results with people that I'm not going to say they were just horrible programs, but
Disclaimer, everybody. Disclaimer.
Yeah. Don't like come and try and like have a trained with Will a year ago and ask for your money back.
Listen to this podcast and you wrote me a program 3 years ago, you bastard. And I can only bench 150.
Yeah, when I look back at them, I'm like, I just would have done this slightly differently, or I look at it and I'm like, damn, I just could have done this and probably would have worked better. But that's the real thing, right? It's always a probably or could have. You don't really know.
Yeah, could have, should have.
Like,
yeah.
It's like people always. That's actually a problem we were just talking about before we started recording. Jackson, was people are always chasing like what can I do to improve? Like if you're doing something and it's working, and then if you're constantly trying to change it because you're trying to improve the process, you're probably actually hindering yourself. You just, I know that every lifter out there, especially the ones that are like really want to be the best, they want to constantly be looking for what they can improve, constantly do better. And I'm not saying change that mindset, but I see people just trying to change it a little bit too often. And like I said, it's about tinkering. It's about just tweaking here and there. How can I make myself recover more or get more out of this day or improve my squat technique a little bit, not drastic changes. And that whether you want to call it ego or just like constant pursuit, trying to just, I don't know, I see it screwing people up more often than not. And that's why I have a coach. Like it's trying to get rid of those emotional, silly decisions and apply some logic to it.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites, the old muscle confusion. You got to hit, like, if you hit flat bench last week, well, you can't do it again. You've got to do incline this week, and then you've got to hit decline, and then it's like just.
Hey, I used to live by that when I was a teenager. That was the golden rule, mate. Yeah, muscle confusion. Yeah, exactly.
Got to make the muscle.
Mix it up, man. Mix it up. They'll always be wondering what the fuck's going on, and they're just, better grow.
Your bicep won't know what's happening.
Well, so you change the angle of your hand there. You're gonna nail it.
It's so good. It's a classic. I always used to see it like when you PT in like a commercial gym, and people don't give their clients programs, and then like the client comes to them and they're like, well, what are we doing today? And the PT's like, they just beat them into the ground with a circuit. They're and then next week comes along and they're doing another circuit. It's just different shit. And it's like, so one, how do you know when you're progressing? And two, like the risk of injury is fucking enormous, like what's the point?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's no tracking. There's no, like in powerlifting, you never get away with that. Like you can't get, maybe you get past the beginner stage, but that's about as far as you're getting with that approach. Like you need, powerlifting is super data driven, and that's because the sport is so repetitive. In bodybuilding, you probably get away with it a little bit more, I think, but like, because at the end of the day, you're still stimulating muscle, and provided your diet and your recovery is all right, like, I mean, you get somewhere. You're still not going to be a pro. You're still not going to be at the top of the chain, but you probably get to, I think that's why it still happens, is because people just see like, old mate did it and he got really big, but little do they know, like old mate has taken a ton of drugs and, doing a bunch of other stuff behind the scenes that you're not. So I get why people fall into the trap, but social media.
Well, have you had any? Have you ever had to have that conversation with somebody who wants to be number one, wants to be not that we have pros, but you know, that kind of level, and you've had to say, look, I think, you know, you've got some potential, but I don't think you've got what it takes to be, you know, be another Andre or be another Yuri Balkin, or, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Do you ever do that, or do you believe in that, or what do you think?
Yeah, just a slightly different way. It's not so much, you know, I don't think you can be that, because it's a bit confronting to hear for a lot of people. I think a lot of people would spiral if I said that straight up, but it's more of a, hey, like what you want, what you're telling me you want is here, and what you're showing me as far as action is a bit down here. You know, we need to get you onto that level. But that's part of coaching. You know, that's like, that's exactly what coaching is getting people to, and not only giving people the spreadsheet with all the exercises on it or the diet or whatever, but it's getting people to do it and figuring out people's mindsets, laying it out in the way that actually allows them to get it done well, you know, convincing them, educating them, all that side of things. I feel like that's what coaching is. It's unlocking people's potential, not just here's a program, follow it. Because I mean, that's like just telling somebody who's overweight to eat less. Like it doesn't work. It's just, it works in theory, but like getting them to do it, in much different story.
Yeah,
that's the thing. There's programs for free on the internet. So like, why is the person paying you? You know, like, you need to be able to communicate it and explain to them why they're doing things. Because the more they can understand why they're doing something, they'll put more effort into it.
Yeah.
You know, like, and same with technical stuff. Like, if you explain to them why they're doing it, why I gave you this cue, or why I think you should do this, then, you know, you're better in their understanding. So that's that, like you say, that's coaching really, like communication. You know, anyone can just be like, hey, here's a spreadsheet that's done off percentages, just sort yourself.
Yeah, and a lot of coaches will just like put it back on the client and say, well, you didn't follow my plan, so you're shit. You know, I'm a great coach. I got results with everybody else. So what the fuck's the problem? Yeah. Whereas those people do come along. I'm not saying that the bad clients don't exist, but I feel, you know, it's your job to work with an individual that's going to think different to you and think different to your other clients and has a different life to your other clients. So it's, you know, it's a bit of onus on both, for sure. Like, I've had people leave or being unhappy with something that we've had before, but most of the time they're good people and they can have a conversation and go like, okay, look, I'm not, you know, I'm not happy with this or whatever it is. And we can solve it real easy. And go in and change it, add some extra data collection, or add a different check-in protocol, or whatever the fuck suits them, so that we can make it happen, you know. And go, hey, like, what's the you know, you're telling me this is the problem, that you can't get it done, but what's the real problem underneath that that's not allowing you to like make that happen? I don't know. So it's a skill that I feel like I got a lot from PTing in a commercial gym back, you know, nearly 10 years ago, when you're trying to coach, you know, single mums to come into the gym and who don't want to be there whatsoever. You know, just getting him in the door is a fucking challenge. Yeah. So, like that's a communication skill you learned back then. And the world right now is a little bit different, because everybody can jump on social media and just be an online coach without kind of following those stepping stones first. You just put it in your bio, easy, you're qualified.
Yeah, it's a very like unregulated industry. Like, anyone can call themselves a PT, which is kind of scary. You know, it's not like a dietitian or a nutritionist where they actually have like a governing body.
Yeah, well, nutritionist isn't very regulated either. But yeah,
not either.
No, dietitian you need to be a dietitian's
qualified. Nutrition, yeah. Anybody technically, I could be a nutritionist right now. Like, I'm a nutritionist. But
true, I didn't know that.
Word. But I mean, there are like companies like in Australia. We have one called Sports Nutrition Australia. I think there's a Sports Nutrition New Zealand, and they're kind of the middlemen in qualifying sports nutritionists, as in, like, you have to go through the ISSN course, do all the education side of that. Then once they're happy that you are educated, then Sports Nutrition Australia or Sports Nutrition New Zealand will kind of link in an insurance company with ISN and say, hey, this person is educated, and so that you can give them insurance now, and it's a, so then you can put you qualified in your bio or whatever. So there's
nothing like that for powerlifting though, is there?
No. The closest thing to that we had was the old Powerlifting Australia course, which was they ran it through like TAFE. It was actually an official course, but clearly that's gone now because Wilkes is not running courses anymore, I don't think. But,
no, it might be. It might be. You just got to look. Yeah, if you look hard enough, there's some courses out there. Probably not on the right subjects though.
Yeah, fucking hell. What a sitch that was. Jesus Christ.
Do you have any official comment on that, Will?
I mean, probably shouldn't have got to that. If you really want to be honest about it, anybody within those circles has forever joked about that being a problem, as it, like, Books has sued me or something, or like it's just a joke, like, oh fuck, like that's kind of normal, whatever, like haha funny, like I got a fucking email that
cease and desist.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know, some sort of link. Now I'm a real
stop mocking me on Facebook. Cease and desist. Yeah.
Yes, and yeah. It's kind of like, in the past it was almost joked about it like it's a rite of passage to be a powerlifter if you like just jokes like that. But looking back on it now, it's like, fuck, we probably should have pulled that up. Probably should have taken that shit a bit more seriously. Like, fuck, like.
Well, and then the way they handled it was horrendous. Like, someone lays a complaint against someone, the first thing they do is they send it to the person the complaint's about. Like, that's ludicrous.
Yeah, like, I don't know the only thing we have to go off though is the news report. So I mean, you don't trust that straight up either.
Yeah, that's mad, dog.
But regardless of whether those allegations hold true or whatever, it's still it's a fucked up situation. It should never got to that. And even if convicted or not, I think everybody can agree it's not right. There's definitely something going on there.
Yeah, where there's smoke, there's usually fire. But anyway. Back to Will.
Serious. It's too serious for this podcast, yeah.
Yeah, fucking hell. We're usually like lads. Now we're actually like discussing political fucking issues.
Yeah. Fuck.
All right, let's get back into lifting. What's Aussie PL? What's Aussie PL? What's that? That you did a comp in June.
APL.
Was that APL? APL. How was that, man? Because that was your you did a comp in 2 months prior to that too with GPC as well, eh? So what's been your experience so far with various competitions around Australia, around the world?
APL is fairly new. But it is IPL. It is the Australian affiliate of IPL, which is huge, which is USPA in America, which is ridiculously big. Some huge. If you look up their records, like absolutely, you'd know every person's name on that list type thing. So it's not like a little, bum fed that's kind of being started up by some guy who was angry at the other feds. It's legit.
Yeah. I think you just described how all feds get started.
It's hilarious that that's a joke. Like, that's like a stereotype, 100%.
Yeah. Started my own fed.
White light all my own lifts. But yeah, no, it's good. That comp's really good. Thomas at 0W, he's running a lot out of a lot of those comps. Here in the Gold Coast and handling like the Queensland side of it. I know they're looking at expanding into other states. So I don't know. It seems like a good organization, a good lot of people. The comps that I've gone to have been really, really smooth. So hopefully they bring some more positivity into it in Australia, because the good thing about them is just like USPA, and that they're tested and untested. So that's an interesting topic. Is the fact that it's a federation that does both, which we didn't have before. It was one or the other. Also comes with its own problems, as in, like, I'm sure there are a lot of people who don't want to go to a comp and then have to willingly say, hey, I'm going to do untested. Like,
turn left if you're on drugs and take a right.
You kind of jump in.
Yeah.
Some people don't want to do that, especially depending what their job is. But for the most part, I would say it's a good thing. It's a federation where hopefully we can have some unity between it, rather than I think it's fairly similar there, like a huge division between the untested and tested federations. It's just like, I don't even know, like, I know a lot of tested coaches and lifters in general, but there's still a massive just wall between us, almost, like, it's taboo to cross it.
Do you think it's often used as an excuse, the divide is between tested and untested, or do you think there are other reasons that some of these untested feds are created that's not necessarily drug related, but it could be, all about different experience for the athlete and so forth?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, not to piss anybody off, but just go to one of those comps. They're fucking boring a lot of the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's a little bit too, like, for me anyway, for me, I want to go to a comp and have fun, chill out with the boys, talk shit. Just, I don't know, just enjoy myself.
Yeah.
And some of those comps are just way too serious for me.
Exactly. Yeah.
People are, in fucking suits, and it's, very, very extremely serious, and I don't know. It's just, there are definitely, I know I've coached a lot of lifters who don't use drugs into GPC comps and into APL comps and into Pro Raw. So, I mean, those people definitely exist. There's absolutely multiple reasons I can see why you wouldn't want to compete in PA or APU here. I'm not sure what your one is, but similar, yeah.
Yeah, we've got NZPF and then WP.
For tested,
for the two tested ones.
And,
I mean, it just shows, like, in the rise of comps, like you say, like Pro Raw and stuff, like, people love that shit. Like, it's fun, it's exciting.
Yeah, in a sport that's not exciting, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like, in a sport, like, if you said, hey man, do you want to come around and have some beers and watch 8 hours of powerlifting, I'd probably be like, nah.
Yeah.
Really, man? I mean,
yeah. Oh, could be 6 hours if they go quickly.
Yeah. But I'd rather watch the footy or UFC or tennis, anything.
What do you think about that? Because we've often had this topic, raised Jackson Angs. How do we make powerlifting more exciting? How do you make powerlifting more exciting, Will?
Something I've been trying to figure out for years. So that's why I'm not running a federation.
I mean, like, we've got most people have got an attention span. They can last 45 minutes or even 80 minutes, tops for a game. What can we fit into 45 or 80 minutes in powerlifting?
We're definitely seeing a lot of strategies in the last couple of years. Like, if I think about it, we've got federations in America. There's a lot of prize money offered, where they're getting they're getting more, elite lifters coming. Enough to the point where they can create, like, super flights or whatever the fuck they want to call them, where it's, like, all the top guys kind of in one flight, which means that people can kind of watch that and go, like, wow, for 15, 20 minutes, and then go away or whatever they want to do, and while the other people are on. Even IPF, I think in America, does that too. They have the USAPL,
they have a prime time.
Yeah, prime time. Yeah, so there are definitely ways out there that people have tried to do. Even recently with, like, Julius Maddox bench the other day, where it was just him, gone for a world record, Thor's world record on the deadlift, like, all that on ESPN. So, I mean, like, I just don't know how you can make it for 8 hours exciting or 6 hours, like you said. I just don't think there's a way. I've thought about it a lot, and I just don't know. And it's the same. The problem, there's a few problems, and so whether it's a 400 squat or a 200 kilo squat, it's a squat, and most people aren't sitting there counting plates. So it's the same thing. Also, you kind of know the results or similar what the results are going to be into a comp if you follow it. You know who the top people are going to be. Whereas if I'm watching, I don't know, MMA or something, like even the guy who's against the odds lands a lucky punch here, and like it's always a little bit, there's randomness involved. Like a little bit of, oh fuck, but maybe, you know what I mean?
Never know.
Yeah.
Whereas in powerlifting, it's kind of like, like they're probably going to do pretty fucking similar to what they did in training, which, I mean, if you're a good powerlifter, is how it should be.
Yeah. And if you're up to date with social media, you know exactly what they're aiming for. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
They got it. Great. That was awesome.
Yeah, he did that in the gym like 2 weeks ago. What a surprise. Yeah.
So it's hard to make that exciting. I don't know how. Like I know Marcos with the Pro Raw tried to do the head-to-head thing a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Again, like just super fucking hard, because it's not like your face. It's not like two guys swinging punches at each other. It's like you do your squat and then I'll do my squat. It's just not quite the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even that, although I kind of like the idea, it's hard to make exciting. And then, like I feel like social media is, although we can talk negative about it, there's some characters like Derek who are just funny as fucking exciting. So it's about the individuals do make it as well.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's more of them coming up.
It's a hard one. It's especially with like so many feds and stuff around. Like you have to, all the top lifters are all over the show. So trying to get, because like the thing that people do understand, that's the biggest thing, is that you need people to understand the sport and know what the other person's trying to do. Whereas in powerlifting, you get people and they make a bench and the person gets 2 reds, and the people are like, why the fuck did he get 2 reds? And his ass came off the bench, but all they saw was a good press.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Like that sort of stuff. So it's hard to get people to understand it. I think is the key. So you got to make it easy to understand. So you basically got to have, like, same as like I agree with the Pro Raw like model as such. Have weight classes.
Make it simple. Yeah.
Make it simple as people understand, right? The big guys versus the big guys, the middle guys versus the middle guys, whatever, and it's very simple numbers. 400's bigger than 380. 350's smaller than 370, whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's much easier to understand. Yeah. And so people will actually happily sit at Pro Raw for like 8 hours, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's also at an expo. It has that benefit.
Yeah.
Like you have bodybuilding over here, you have strongman over here.
Yeah.
You have very fucking weird sports as well. Like medieval fucking dudes with the swords that are like just bashing each other. That's, go watch some of that. Go watch speed cubing. So the fact that it's like there's other shit to go and do helps.
Yeah.
Overall, for sure.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, when you were lifting, Jackson, left and went and got some lunch.
Of course they did. I would. I'm fucking boring.
So when they came back, the big guys were on. Yeah.
Although that heaps of them made money on that, because they started a sweepstake for my nose who was going to fucking start bleeding. So someone made some money somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. So Will, you'll be a big fan of strobe lights, no doubt, in powerlifting meets.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the sound systems, and you can't hear.
There he goes. Yep.
No way. Get out of here.
One to Greg and none to Jackson on that one. Did
you see the USAPL Raw Nats, Will?
I don't think so. I saw highlights. But...
They had like that massive fucking TV screen at the back and like strobe lights going as the person's lifting. And I'm 100% against the strobe lights. Greg loves it, and he's been trying to convince people that it's a good idea.
Every guest we get on. So, yeah,
it does. Like on a competitive level, I'm sure you're the same. But at Pro Raw, it's got enough like lights going on. It's not quite that crazy, but there's enough fucking lights going on the music's ridiculous. There's a billion people around being an expo, and it definitely does make it harder as an athlete to try and like chill out. Like I'm a big proponent of you should be fucking amped for your lifts, and then you should be able to just chill out or calm down, you know, like, and just relax between your lifts. Like that's how the day should run, especially at a day like Pro Raw where it's like I weighed in at 8 a.m. At the last one, I weighed in at 8 a.m. and my last deadlift was at 7:30 p.m. So I mean, like it's a long fucking day, and if there's no downtime mentally between there, it gets really, really difficult. Like you don't see a boxer between rounds jumping around like just fucking, you know, being crazy. You know, they're trying to sit down and relax, and I feel like we should be taking a similar mindset, and it's much longer. But yeah, that lights music and just it's a different animal, and it's a skill to, I feel, try and get out of that.
Yeah, 100%.
Did you found it similar?
Yeah, it is very fucking loud there. Like, people wear earplugs in the audience. That's how loud the music is.
Yeah, is that right?
Yeah. Like
earplugs,
Marcos just loves it, and you'll hear Thunderstruck about 160 times for the
day. Every third lift, I think, is reasonable. I've got a problem with that.
It's ludicrous, but I mean,
I did try and get that Thunderstruck as a theme track to this podcast. But
Marcos has got it trademarked.
He did. I got a cease and desist. Actually, Wilkes sent me a letter. Yeah.
Yeah, on behalf.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I mean, this might be a sore subject for Will, but he ended up winning at that last Pro Raw. Like, speaking of competition experience, how many comps have you ever done, Will? Do you reckon?
No, you have the list in front of you, Greg.
13, 14, 15 comps, eh?
Hey, well,
off the top of my head.
So the I mean,
number one fan.
I see you do your research.
Yeah. That's what Greg said. That's what Greg said. We were just joking, Greg, about you being the new admin guy, because you don't have to be on time for that.
No, exactly.
That was Will's idea.
Well, I came in, and the podcast was already up and running. I'm like, oh, you don't even need me anymore.
Yeah, this is it. I'll send you the videos to edit.
Yeah, I'll do it, mate. I'll do the editing.
So I'll captain the ship.
Yeah. This is takeover. This is how powerlifting works.
This is it. I'm the new Fed now. I'm the captain now. No, but at that last Pro Raw, Will, with your, I remember, like, you had a hell of a time with squats and bench, and it was like, did you find that hard? Especially, like you say, in that atmosphere, there was nowhere to go and just chill and like get your head back in the game.
There was. I had to leave, but definitely not a fun time. The squats and bench it caught me off guard, because it should have been, looking back on it, like really it should have been. I came into that comp going like, I should have this. Like I should be fairly comfortable. Like I should be winning this on my second deadlift. Like assuming that everybody, like you said, everybody else on social media that did the numbers that I expected them to do. I expected to be able to pretty comfortably take it out. But then when that happens, you're only getting an open a squat and open a bench, it definitely throws a spanner in the works, that's for sure.
Oh yeah.
And I had to just completely like leave the building and just like leave the entire thing and walk down the road a bit to an area where there was no people at all, and just literally just relax for a bit, just for 10 minutes, regather my thoughts, and think to myself, like, this is clearly not the ideal situation, but there is a very fucking slight chance that this could still be on, and trying to like convince myself of that and going, like just go in there and give it your shot and just see what happens. And like you said, it came together. So I'm proud of myself on that one, as far as staying with it and not just kind of crumbling, giving up on it. But definitely taught me a few lessons, that's for sure.
Did you have anyone in your corner, Will, or was it just you?
Just Mickey, my partner. Oh man, Mickey, Thomas, a bunch of people. as far like, the heaps of people were there trying to, but really it was Mickey and Mickey as far as the calming me down and getting me regathered, and then Thomas is obviously a pretty, well, for me anyway, he's been handling me long enough to know that I'm a chill lifter and I need to be calm and focused, not hyped up and rowdy. So he's pretty good at handling me enough now and knows what to say and just chill out, calm down, do your thing. So yeah, between those two, it really helped a lot.
Yeah. So you're not the kind of lifter that would come off the platform and just push Thomas into the audience, like make him go flying. Because if he did, I mean, we wouldn't,
No, I am definitely on the other end of this, but I'm just trying to relax the whole time and just focus on myself, focus on on the lifts, the execution of the lifts, and as far as like the decision making and stuff like that, we come in with a plan, but Thomas is always making the shots, putting in the numbers, doing all that side of things. So I'm cracking jokes and having conversations before I'm walking out on the platform. I'm not the type of guy, to wear the headphones and tell myself that I hate myself or some shit, like that's not me.
Yeah. Not the fact that no face slapping, back slapping.
No, none of that stuff. Thomas gives me a little bit of just a rub on the traps, and that's about it. A little bit of a massage. That's all it needs.
Speaking of those traps are like 4 handfuls. If people haven't seen Will's traps before, I think Thomas is just doing that for himself, not for you.
I know. Yeah. I've seen him do it to a few lifters. I think it must be some sort of fetish.
Yeah, definitely. He's comparing them to Will's. I felt him do it to me as well before, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I know you'd have to rub it in. Fuck it up.
Yeah, I don't train them. So I mean, I don't train them in a traditional sense, as in like shrugs or anything like that. So just my structure and just how I deadlift, I think, more than anything.
What's your background, Will, with before lifting? Any sports?
Super sporty my whole life. So as a kid playing league for the most part, but also mixing in like touch footy, athletics, that sort of stuff. And then stopped all that around 17, so year 11 in school, because thought I should be focusing a bit more. Looking back on it, probably shouldn't. Shouldn't.
But you're always landing on your feet.
And then had a bit of a break in the middle because I joined into the Navy, and so couldn't really focus on anything but that for a few years, and then got into lifting, got into the gym pretty much for the same reason everybody does, for physique, and then did bodybuilding for a couple of years before my first powerlifting comp. So 2013-14 did bodybuilding, and then 2015 was first comp.
First bodybuilding comp or first powerlifting comp?
First powerlifting comp in 2015. 2 years before that, bit of bodybuilding.
But no bodybuilding show?
Yeah, I did one. I did one season of bodybuilding, which was like 3 or 4 shows or something. And then the year previous to that, I did whatever they call it, like physique or whatever.
Okay. How'd you go? How'd you place?
I didn't win anything, but I don't know. I thought it went pretty well. Looking at, like, I have some pictures, and it certainly taught me a lot. Like, I really, really think it has helped me to become a better powerlifter for sure. Because if you've done any form of bodybuilding, like, it is fucking mentally tough. Like, once you've starved yourself for 6 months, whilst simultaneously pushing yourself in the gym and in the cardio, like, it's rough, and you learn to just put up with shit and really learn where your limits are. And although powerlifting has its times where it's tough, it's just not the same. And I feel like it just kind of like puts things in perspective a little bit. Like when I go through a weight cut, like I might do a week of like really hard dieting or something. And, you know, kind of lighter dieting for the 10 weeks prior to that. And people will lose their shit over it, you know. I'm fucking starving. I'm like, mate, no, like,
exactly. You got no idea.
You can go hard, like you can fucking go hard. Your body is way more adaptable and resilient than you give it credit for. Like it will put up with a fuck ton of shit, so just deal with it, and you'll be fine. Trust me, you know. But yeah, the mental side of bodybuilding definitely taught me a lot, and then taught me some other valuable lessons, like what it was like to not want to go to the gym but having to go. You know what I mean? So like up until that point, I was like, fuck it. Like, I don't understand all these people that don't get results. Like why do they want to go? Like, isn't that the best part of everybody's day? Like, you know, but then in the later parts of the bodybuilding preps, it was like, fuck, I'm fucked. Like, I just want to go to bed. Like, I'm ruined. But you have to do it. You have to do it. So, I mean, some other like life lessons like that put things in perspective, that also kind of helps me as a coach, I feel, a little bit as well, because I can kind of relate to some people in those situations.
Yeah.
I don't regret it.
Would you do it again though?
No, definitely not. I regret.
Come on.
I regret the methods that I did. I would have done it way fucking different today. I know a lot more. I definitely did some shit, like way wrong. Definitely lost a bunch of muscle, especially in that second year as a bodybuilder, which probably was why I went to powerlifting after, because I was like, fuck this. This is
yeah. I've just wrecked myself for 6 months for nothing.
Yeah, but it. No, I wouldn't get back on stage, that's for sure, because it just doesn't appeal to me. Like, the competition doesn't appeal to me. In my experience, you know, not calling anyone in particular, but the community just is nowhere near as supportive. Like, I remember I did my first powerlifting comp, which was GPC Queensland States, in early 2015, and I honestly don't remember the day as far as like the lifts and that. You know, I've got videos and things, but I don't remember anything in particular. But I it's really clear in my mind, like, thinking like, fuck, like, these people are awesome. Like, I love being around, like, all these other guys who I'm competing against and stuff, like, they're fucking cheering me on. Like, this is sick. Whereas in bodybuilding, it's like everyone's kind of like hating each other.
They hated themselves as well.
Yeah, I think that's half the time they're just feeling miserable.
It's just
and they're playing through. They're rehearsing their bloody routine in their heads and stuff. And I remember these days, but you're inside your own head at these bodybuilding shows. You've got no time and energy for anyone else.
Yeah, and they're hectic days.
Yeah.
Like, as fucking gay as it is, but like, you know, all the tanning and the waxing and shit leading up to it, like, it's a fucked week. It's a really stressful week. And then when you get there on the day, if you've ever been to a bodybuilding show, like, behind the scenes is fucking chaos.
Oh yeah.
Them trying to shuffle everybody around and get the right people line. Oh fuck, it's a mess. And that's why I think I really, when I did that first comp, I cemented in, like, yeah, this is where I need to be.
Yeah.
Because not only was I just good at it, but the people were fucking awesome. Like, I remember like Critter shoving nose talk up in my face, heading into deadlifts, just yelling at me and just slapping me around. And I just remember it clear as day. So, like, just things like that, moments like that, just when I think about that competition, come to mind and really make me, that's the part of it that you love.
I mean, the thing is that, like, just because you do powerlifting, like, you'll probably, well, definitely, I've seen photos, you're way more jacked now than you were when you did bodybuilding. So,
oh yeah,
like you say, you started lifting to get a physique, and so, well, now you've got a better physique than you did back then. So, like, it's a win-win.
It's a bit of a misconception in powerlifting that it's vastly different.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of the best powerlifting programs for the average person, maybe let's, you know, leave elite people out of the conversation, but for the average person, like a really good powerlifting program is often a good bodybuilding program with, some squat, bench, deadlift added in.
100%. Just add some
Yeah.
good food, add a calorie surplus, and you're building muscle.
Yeah, exactly. Like people forget that, like, it doesn't have to be 3 sets of 10 if you're doing hypertrophy. It's, sets of 3 to, I think in the science, it's the sets of 3 to 30 is fine, as long as you're getting relatively close to failure. Like, and even that is further, like, a bigger range than what people like to think it is. Like, you have to, I think the data these days is like, you have to get within 5-ish reps from failure. So as long as you're 5-ish reps from failure in a 3 to 30 range, doing adequate volume, so like 10 to 20 sets of per muscle group per week, couple times a week, like, spreading that volume out, and the exercises are somewhat suited to you, you'll be fine. Do that really consistently, eat lots of food, like you said, Jackson, and then if you want to be a powerlifter, add in some squat, bench, and deadlift on it, until comp rocks around, and then obviously the focus shifts a little bit. But hypertrophy is much. I'm a bit of a bro at heart, clearly, but I definitely lean towards the camp of we should give hypertrophy a lot more credit than what the majority of the powerlifting industry does.
100%. You're preaching to the choir here, bro. Like, I don't see why in like a strength sport where the aim is to be as strong as you can, people are so fixated on being small. Like, and then someone pulls out a formula on me and I'm like, no, okay, one off, my formula score is still better than yours. But if people are like, I'm like, yeah, but that guy's now bigger and stronger than you. Yeah. Like, so where's the win for you? You know what I mean? Like, you want to be jacked.
Because, again, to put myself in their shoes, I think it's just because if you look at the elite lifters, their programs are pretty specific, right? Like, I mean, like especially the guys in the IPF. So, I mean, like the untested guys where they don't have drugs to speed up the amount of muscle that they can put on. But those guys, their programs are pretty high frequency, squatting, benching, 3 times a week, deadlifting once or twice a week, at least for the most part. And they're trying to put the vast majority of their volume in per week into those lifts, which makes sense because they've kind of tapped out muscle size. Well, I mean, within reason, like they can put on a fucking couple 100 grams a year or whatever. But, most of their gains at that point is coming from the neural side or the skill side of the squat, bench, deadlift. So, like, I understand on that point, but then you get some guy who is well underweight for his height and his favorite lifters doing that. It makes sense that they go down that road, but it's not. I feel that most people are getting it wrong. You need to, as people say, like, build a base before you start going down that level of specificity.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and obviously with that comes that what we were saying about before about like the off season. Like, it's just as important as in season because you're laying the base, you're building the fitness, and you're building the muscle that then you carry over into your strength blocks.
Yeah, definitely. You're trying to build muscle. You're trying to, well, what you're really trying to do is you're trying to set yourself up for the prep to go well, when you get to that point. So, you're trying to put joints through different ranges, bring up muscles that squat, bench, deadlift don't hit very well. Trying to improve your fitness so you don't crash and burn during a prep. Trying to, if we're looking at metrics, increase your HRV, decrease your resting heart rate, decrease your blood pressure maybe. You're trying to get all those things in check so when you get into prep, you can kind of like let them slide a little bit, but you'll still live. You know what I mean? You don't want to be the guy that's puffing walking over to the bar. So,
Hamish Coulter, it wasn't talking about you, mate.
There's a lot. Powerlifting, unfortunately, you can get, well, not unfortunately, fortunately, you can get away with it a lot. You know what I mean? Especially in like it's a sport of 1 RMs and nobody, the judges aren't sitting there giving you reds based on your health. So I mean, you can you can get away with a fair fucking bit in such a specific sport. But I mean, if you want to be the best, you need to consider the big picture.
Got to say, I've seen some really unhealthy bastards up there on the platform sometimes.
Oh yeah,
very elite people as well. Like I remember at which pro was it? I think 10. When Vlad came over and competed, like that is a gigantic man, and holy shit, just he was in between warm-ups laying on the ground dying, you know what I mean? So I mean, like, I'm not saying you can't get to the top of the sport or close anyway, you know, fairly close. You can get really fucking strong by doing those things, but eventually you have to pay for it.
What sort of data do you sort of go off, Will? Like you mentioned HRV, heart rate, blood pressure. Do you do, like, when you're tracking stuff for yourself and for athletes, do you track like steps and obviously weekly volume as a kilo thing or as sets, etc.? Like what sort of data do you track for people?
Yeah, so on a health perspective, those things that you said, for myself personally, I don't force it on clients because I don't expect everybody to go out there and buy a chest strap and, you know, everything. But I mean, like I've got my heart rate, blood pressure here,
Nice.
my chest strap here for HIV, my finger pricker for blood glucose. So
Nice.
you take the health stuff pretty seriously. And then, yeah, as far as training metrics, it's all that. It's squat, bench, deadlift volume in terms of set, hard sets, really. Overall weekly volume in terms of difficult sets as well. Estimated 1RMs on the main lifts to help, you know, see progression, as well as like recovery metrics that I get people to fill out prior to a session. So like energy, sleep, weight, how are you feeling, that kind of stuff, like just getting people to note how you're feeling coming into it. Because if I'm trying to make your heavy squat day really fucking good, but you know, like I'm not taking those metrics, you can't really make the week work as well as what it could potentially be working. Like you might be squatting twice a week. One of them's a kind of a moderate session, you know, let's just say 5x5, something, keep it simple. And then your other heavy session is a top single and some triples or some shit in reps, you know, like a heavy session and a medium session. And somebody might not be able to handle that. That medium session might be really fucking their heavy day, you know? Yeah. But if I don't know, if I'm not taking those kind of how you feeling, like I might be able to see in performance, but it's going to take a lot longer. And it's going to be easier to draw the dots together if I have some data coming in. So yeah. And then when it comes to more of an off season and hypertrophy is more of the focus, then I'll take other metrics like either measurements or pitches, depending on what the person's more comfortable with. Obviously, like more focus is on progression, like smaller progression within accessory lifts and stuff like that. At that point, I might consider using like tonnage, like overall work, but super rare, but just to make it easy for people. And then I think you mentioned on the cardio side, steps is definitely kind of the main one. But I feel like if anybody's kind of decent, they'll hit the minimum anyway. Like 6,000 is what I expect on a absolute minimum. And then for most people, I find no matter how busy you are, can probably get 8 in if they wake up a bit earlier or whatever. They set their day a little bit, schedule things a little bit smarter. 8,000 should be pretty achievable for anybody who's serious. And I'm not usually a person to add in much actual cardio, but for people who need it, it's kind of on a needs basis. So it's like, hey, like those health metrics that we took, your blood pressure, all that shit, that's high. That's, you know, not what we want. We're going to address that through diet and a bunch of other things, but also, you know, we might do some cardio.
Yeah, I like it. The with HRV, heart rate variability, a few people probably don't know what that is. You want to just go through what that is and what difference
just,
that would make?
Like I said, not something that I really push on people because the heart strap, this thing is fairly expensive for what it is, really, for the data it's going to give you. And I really feel like, like I can tell somebody's recoverability based on the subjective feedback and like what they're telling me, like, hey, I feel good, feel shit, whatever. Combined with the objective data in terms of like performance, I can probably put the puzzle pieces together pretty well just through that, and just having conversations with people going like, hey man, like, how you feeling? And they're like fucking, droopy eyes, dying. I can put some things together. So it's definitely not a need. I just like to track shit because I'm a bit of a nerd and like it when it comes to myself.
100%.
Yes, it's just that it's a recovery score. So you put this on, you need something fairly accurate. So I think some of the watches do it these days, but it's just, they're not really super accurate. I wouldn't trust them. Whereas this heart strap is a lot more accurate, and it connects up to my phone in an app, measures the variance in my heart rate, and tells me kind of how recovered I am for that day. Which there's pros and cons to, but it's mostly pro if you can get around the mental side of it. Like sometimes really anxious people who trust the data a little bit too much, it's not good for them, because this will come out and say like, hey man, you're fucked, and then they'll be like, oh man, I am fucked actually, and they'll go to the gym and they'll give it a half-assed session, and then because they've got something to blame, it's already been implanted, that thought in the head. But I'm pretty good, like I'm pretty well able to just kind of go like, yeah, cool, it's more trends you're looking for anyway. It's more like, hey, like in an off season, I kind of want to have a higher HIV. I want my recoverability to be better. I want my body operating at a higher level. And then during a prep, I expect it to go down. Like I would fucking hope so anyway. Otherwise, I'm not training hard and I'm not doing all the things, I should be more stressed. And it's a good thing for powerlifting. It's a good thing for performance. It's just not a good thing for long-term health.
Yeah, it's one of those things, I suppose, for yourself, like you said, it's something else quantifiable, so it helps you get rid of those emotional decisions again.
Yeah,
pretty much. Whereas for you with clients, you're taking that emotional decision away anyway.
Yeah. It's just another thing. It's just another data point for me. But yes, like I said, certainly not needed. So I don't want everybody to run out and buy it, because you don't need it.
Everyone goes out and use the code Will10 to get 10% off.
I wish.
That'd be a good time. That'd be a fucking nice sponsorship to have.
So Will, a lot of data coming in. When are you going to come out with your own app?
There's already enough. And they do a good job. Like we have a spreadsheet clearly for coaching people that tracks that. We have spots to put in a lot of this data. Usually try to keep it on the simple side, because otherwise people just don't do it. But we do for the more serious athletes, for the bigger people, for the elite people that are pushing their performance and their health to higher levels. We track it a lot more. Make sure people aren't going to keel over dead on me. But
not a good look.
Yeah, I track it. I have a nutrition coach. I have everything that I put everything into an app and track all those metrics. But yeah, I wouldn't do it for clients, because it just they would never do it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Speaking of, did you guys see that thing recently about what's his name? Shelby Starnes?
About the deaths?
Oh,
about how he's got like 4 or 5 people who have died under him, and then the protocols he's giving people are fucking ludicrous. I think
they said the same thing about Chad Nichols too.
Yeah, I would say it extends much further than him. I think it's just a typical thing at bodybuilding.
It's a bodybuilding thing, eh? And you've got whatever. Who was the coach for Dallas McCarver? Justin, just something like that too.
Wasn't it Matt Jansen?
Matt Jensen, yeah, they targeted him too.
Yeah.
But you got to remember that these guys have elite genetics for growth, which are often linked to, like in the case of like Dallas McCarver, like I forget, but his heart was.
Oh yeah, his heart was huge.
Absolutely enormous.
But that wasn't a genetic issue that he already had, so it was,
That's what I mean. Like these guys are freaks, not just in terms of muscles and stuff like that. They're free. They're outliers, and these coaches, they often cop the blame because they're looking after them. But chances are, like I've coached enough elite people in powerlifting to know that people do what the fuck they want sometimes, and I'm there to hold people back a lot of the time. Like there are people I've coached where I'm like, I really don't advise you use this much shit or push yourself to these extremes or cut that much weight or whatever the fuck it is, and they're going to do it. Like they're going to do it.
Exactly.
As long as I can communicate my point of view and we can be like, come to an understanding that, hopefully you have your, if this is health and this is performance on the spectrum and you want to be here, I'm cool with that. I'll help you get there, but understand that you are sacrificing some other shit for that.
Yeah.
So that
it's almost like compromising with them as well, to say, because that if they don't get the right answer from you, they're going to go somewhere else until they get stuck in the right answer. So at least you can say to them, you can say to them at least, look, I know you're going to keep doing it, but hey, if you're going to keep doing it like this, then I want you to get regular blood work done, blah, blah, blah. I want you to follow this regime in terms of diet. So at least we can reduce some of the other markers or the other health markers,
Yeah, we do all that. That helps to help like clarify the position, as in like, I can tell somebody, what you're doing is very unhealthy. You should probably not do that. And they won't listen to me. But if I say, hey man, go get a blood test. And then their doctor starts going like, hey, yeah, you got fucking problems. And,
but object.
It's a little easier, than the buy-in with the doctor is a little bit more than what I get. Because everybody thinks that I'm, that they come to me for the secret, and it's just, it's not. They realize pretty quick it's not like that. So
is there no secret?
Just train hard for fucking 10 years and you might get somewhere.
Jackson said, Will's got the secret. Let's get him on.
Let's spill the secrets.
Yeah, let's get the secret.
Yeah, the secret is all the shit in my drawer and the tracking of all the data for a long time.
We got the secret. Allegedly we got the secret from Marianne's husband, Dr. Sergey, but I don't think we ever got the secret from him, did we, Jackson?
Nah, he said something in Russian and then your mate didn't translate it. He
ran off and wrote something down and ran off, and I haven't seen him again. Now he's benching 300.
Now he's been taken off by the FBI and spreading the intergalactic secrets or something.
But he was saying a lot of similar things though. I mean, everyone we talked to Jackson says very similar things. It's very data driven, the sport. The more variables you can control, the more input you're getting back from people on things outside of the actual day in training, the better the coach you can be. So we keep hearing the same thing. So there must be something in it.
And I feel like me and Will were discussing, I think, before we started recording, but like, it's literally like progression is fucking boring. Like the way to get good at the sport is to be a boring, patient bastard and just like do the same shit and add little bits of weight here and there, monitor your diet, add little bits of food here and there. And you do that over 10 years, 5 years or whatever, and you get better and you just push your body as far as it can go.
Yeah, this that question you asked earlier about things that have changed or learned, that's one of them. Even as on the coaching side, is to be more patient as a coach. Like if you change shit too regularly, it doesn't work. You need to tinker. You need to add the set here, add the little bit of weight there. Just wait and see for outcomes. Like let the data, let the person like tell you that shit's working or shit's not working, and then make small tweaks here and there to head down more of the path that you want to head down. But whereas maybe maybe years ago it would have been a lot more changes on a week-to-week rate, like a lot more rash decisions, I guess. Like, oh fuck, it's not working. Like, what's wrong? Where if it's only been a week or whatever,
Dieting
like,
for a week. Where the fuck's my abs?
yeah, exactly. Well, once you have more of an understanding about periodization and programming and progression, about how like simple topics like overload, how those things work, like once you understand those on a deep level, you like programming becomes a lot easier, because like you start to see like, oh fuck, like shit, it is just about like giving the body a stimulus and then getting the adaptions through recovery. And it's as boring as it sounds, it just is.
Yeah. Of all the stuff, Will, you've heard in the last, say, 5 years, how much of it is genuinely new or just a variation of what's been talked about before or discovered? Like, I mean,
like if you look at what all the top powerlifters, if we talk about the elite powerlifters in the untested side to make it a bit more, standard or whatever, but if you look at what their programs look like now, that what I was talking about earlier with the higher frequency, the undulating intensity, and how they go about it generally, and then you look at some of the old Russian programs and stuff, they're pretty fucking similar, and even what people like to talk shit on, like Louis and conjugate and that side of things as well. I don't think Louis knew it all, but I think he was a lot more on the track than people probably gave him credit for. That's for sure. Give him credit for, definitely a crazy bastard, and definitely like I don't think like concepts like speed work. Like we're not speed athletes, and I don't think that any of the data today supports that. The speed is what makes that stuff work. But you look at what those elite people do today, and they'll do like really low RPE technique work. It's fucking similar. So I think he had a lot of concepts right, but just kind of wasn't exactly right on the theory behind it. But yeah, I don't think it's changed a ton. I think we've gone full circle, and we're just figuring out what strength coaches decades ago knew that the science wasn't quite up to date with yet.
It's the that's one of those old things, isn't it? Like you say, like strength coaches, bodybuilders and stuff were doing all this shit back in the day. And then everyone was like, no, you're wrong. It's this or this. And then now all of a sudden the science is actually like, oh, actually, hang on. We're onto something.
I also wonder, like, if you've discovered these things and they're working with your clients, how willing are you to then share that with the world? Or it's like, actually, no, fuck it. I'm making a bit of money out of this. I might just keep this to myself. And then these other guys, they can figure it out later on.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think the better coaches are just doing the basics way better than other coaches are doing the basics. Like, you know what I mean? Like something is, if we talk about like programming principles like fatigue management or something like that, something that everybody knows, like managing fatigue on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, like a block-to-block basis, on a macro view, is important. And I don't think any decent powerlifter with half a brain would argue that fatigue management or load management isn't important. But when I look at the elite coaches and how they're doing that, they're doing it just so much fucking better than the average guy. They're like, so they're just taking the big concepts that matter and doing it way fucking better than everyone else. Whereas the not so good coaches are too focused on the little thing, on the minutia, or like, like you said, Jackson, like focusing on hitting my bicep at the right angle or whatever. Like,
yeah,
your effort and the amount of thought that you're putting onto that is way overdone, and you should maybe go and focus on some of those big principles. Like go and read some textbooks,
Yeah, focus on the shit that's going to give you like 90 or 95% of the result, not the shit that's going to give you like 1%. But you better make sure you have all this stuff sorted first before you start focusing on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been down rabbit holes many times and focused way too much on things which, don't get me wrong, like weren't completely fucking useless, but I mean, like it definitely overemphasized some stuff that really, if I look at a big picture, was only like a small chunk, you know. Whereas these days it's trying to maximize what I can out of the big stuff. So evolving as a coach has actually made me more simple, I guess.
Yeah. 100%.
Well, what's the plan for the rest of 2021, man? And what's the plan for next year?
Nothing. Chill the fuck out from now.
What? Hey, no big plans, 1,000 kilo totals?
Not right now, because competitions are hard to come by. It's not something I want to do locally. So I mean, with the Fit Fest just being called off literally a couple of days ago, that's not to say Pro Raw has officially been cancelled, but it's not the expo doesn't exist now. So I mean, if it does happen, it's going to be at a gym. And if you've been following the news, Victoria and New South Wales are kind of fucked. So I mean, I hope you guys don't get as bad as them, but they're in absolute tatters at the moment, and they're talking about still being locked down through Christmas and all that kind of stuff.
Damn, really? Shit.
Yeah. So I mean, as far as
I thought Aussie was slowly opening up. I know your what's his name? Can't remember his name. Your Prime Minister's talking about opening up Australia.
He's talking about it if vaccinations happen, but I mean, like, we're so far off the numbers that he's talking. I don't know, but who fucking knows? Honestly, like, who knows? I can't predict shit at the moment. And while I can't predict anything, I don't want to commit to a prep that's might not happen again. I already did that once with the last Pro Raw, so I'm not going to spend all the money and put in all the effort and sacrifice all the shit that comes with a hard prep to potentially have it ripped out from underneath me again right at the end. So until I can be really confident that shit's going to happen, I am just focusing on making, setting myself up physically and mentally better for when that happens. Like all the shit that we don't get to do often as powerlifters because comps are every 6 months or whatever. All the stuff that we don't, all the hypertrophy stuff and the fitness stuff and all that stuff, that's the stuff I'm hammering now, and just trying to set myself up to be in a really good position to be able to push when I'm allowed to push. So yeah, unfortunately, fuck all for the rest of the year, to answer your question. But and to go even further, I don't know for next year either. The answer is when the world allows me to. Like, I was meant to be over there. I was meant to be over there for the Wolfpack comp, and then
you had the flights booked.
Yeah, the flights are booked, and literally for the 3 days of lockdown that Queensland has had over the last fucking year happened to coincide with that weekend. So that sucked big time. And then we were like, oh, it's all right. We got Com competing at New Zealand Strongest Man. So we'll just use the flight credits to go over for that. And now like that's going out the window as well. So who knows?
Who knows? All right, Jackson, any final words for Will? Any final questions?
I'm just asking is what's next on the coaching side of things as well, Will, business, etc.
We're still open for coaching. We're still doing our thing. We're still going forward. Like I said, COVID and competitions have slowed it, but we're still doing it. So if people need coaching, want to get bigger, do whatever goal you want to get, reach out, because we are open for business. And like I said earlier, pivoting into, well, it's been happening for years. I've been going down this road, but just COVID's accelerated it. Now, but headed down into a more educational space. So me in particular, but Zach also, one of our other coaches, we're working overtime right now to put this mentorship together, which starts on the 20th of September, runs for 12 weeks, which makes it finish up a week before Christmas. And we've done a deadlift one before. We did a 6-week deadlift one before, building winning deadlift, which kind of covered everything deadlifting, technique, programming, all that stuff. And this one's just a kind of bigger, better version of that covers the whole shebang. So a lot of all the stuff that we've been talking about, the periodization, the programming, the big principles, all that kind of stuff being covered, biomechanics, covering all through that, squat, bench, deadlift, everything there, what matters, what doesn't, and everything else involved as well. So like recovery, a little bit of nutrition, and injury recovery, peaking, whatever you want to know. It's all in there. It's pretty damn comprehensive. So
that's cool.
Yeah, if anyone else is interested in that, message me. Either jump on the Nexus website, sign up to the email list. You'll be sent emails and get all the details through there, or reach out to me personally, and I'll jump on a call with anybody who's even half interested and see if it's the right fit, really.
Nice. We can, Jackson, we can put those links in this episode podcast.
Yeah, we'll put all the links in the
put all the links in there. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, it's a big commitment. Like I just said, like there's a lot of topics, there's a lot of time that goes into it. I want people to walk out the other end of it much better coaches. That's the goal, not just smarter people, but just actually better coaches. Because I feel it's a lot of the courses out there are a lot of theory and not much application. So we're trying to flip that a little. So yeah, like I said, if anybody is half interested or you need to know a bit more, just get on the phone with me and we'll literally go through it. And if it's not for you, I've had a few people that just literally it's just not for them. So we'll work it out.
Sweet.
Nice.
Awesome, man. Hey, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Thanks.
That was awesome. A lot of serious and not so serious topics.
100%.
I was gonna say it's one of those episodes we covered a fucking massive range of topics, and this is why we don't do those timestamp things, because people will be like, "What the fuck are they talking about?"
Oh, fuck that! I don't want to go through the whole episode and do that. Yeah. Right, folks. That was on the fence. No, sorry, Ben. That was off the platform. Got my little dig in there for our mate Ben. That was off the platform, folks. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Ciao, team.